Against the backdrop of a raging COVID epidemic and a quite visceral Black Lives Matter movement, Abroad While Black was born. Our goal was to highlight Black perspectives from all over the world. It was our way of proving there are other ways to live, other places to be successful, and different cultures that embrace our Blackness. In 2020, the Abroad While Black team created dozens of responsive hot takes and thoughtful interviews covering topics ranging from current events, business opportunities, dating, and life-changing moments. In 2021, our co-hosts Cordy and Sean aim to share more success stories, more productive introspection, and most importantly, how to relocate to a place that truly values what you offer the world. Abroad While Black is more than a show. This is a social experiment hell-bent on discovering new ways to secure the bag and live our best lives. Join the Abroad While Black squad. Good morning, Abroad While Black. I am your host, Sean Burrowes. I am the co-founder of Ingressive for Good. I am the CEO of Burrowes Enterprises, an operations consulting firm. My goal, my passion, my purpose is to build an economic bridge between Africa and her diaspora. So today I'm riding solo, and I'm a little bit late on this, but I had to jump into the Stingy Man conversation. There's a whole entire Stingy Man coalition movement that I saw start in Nigeria. I saw it popping up in different countries and whatnot, and I had to address it. I just saw what was going on with the responses to it. I saw what was going on with even the men that were carrying the mantle. And it was very interesting. So it was something that I had to address. And I'm not gonna lie, I had all intentions to collect scalps today. But I saw the illustrious Keke Palmer on Instagram today, just showing all of her Black, amazing womanliness. Whew, I love Keke Palmer. I just love her energy. And it called into account that I can't come for your bone straights today. I have to address not only women in this Stingy Man movement, but also the men, because we got some issues too. So I'm basically gonna just jump right into this. So first, I got to give a little bit of backstory. I got to give you a little bit of why I was so interested in this. Honestly, I'm probably like a third generation stingy man. My father is stingy, and the level of stinginess my father had, I can only assume that my grandfather must have passed that down through the genes, through his DNA, RNA, like it's unnatural. So am I to his level? No, but I understand why. I understand the heart and soul of this Stingy Man movement, and it's I have to be careful the details I give. I have to be careful, very careful, how I approach this topic, because I have a girlfriend. I love her to death. Actually, fiance. We're going to be married, and the last thing I want to do is embarrass her. But again, family, the truth has to be told. So let's just say that with the initial onset of this Stingy Man movement, it was something that aligned with me, pure and simple, because of my age. If you know, I'm an 80s baby, right? So that, go ahead and put that in place. But what I really understood, especially from a music and a culture in Black America, where in that time where I was coming of age, when I was trying to see who I am, there was a culture of Black men wanting to be pimps, wanting to be Max, having the perspective of I'm being stone cold on them. You understand what I'm saying? And then you fast forward to like the 2000s, and then Lil Wayne pops in with "It Ain't Trickin' When You Got It." I think Lil Wayne actually destroyed the initial or the original Stingy Man culture that existed. There was a feeling of equality, true equality, that we've kind of drifted away from, meaning that I'm just as worthy of receiving money from you. I'm just as capable of receiving money from you as you are from me. And that was an underlying emotion that has been lost. Again, Lil Wayne killed that. I remember back in the day, like, we prided ourselves on having game, being a Mac, your wordplay, the initial push and pull of getting a woman. It was an art. It was an art. And to come in now and just basically buy your way into the situation, it's hard for me to respect. And let me just jump into this now. That's part of why I am in, not let's say I'm in support, because I'm supposed to be debunking this, but I really just want to give further insight. But honestly, the thing is that if I have value to offer you outside of money, then I don't need to initially approach you with how much money that I have. And if I'm approaching you with the actual values of a man, the masculinity, the respect, the purpose, the drive, the ambition, achieving progress in life and different things like that over time, then that should be respected. That should be, in many ways, if there's going to be a give and take, there has to be reciprocity. And that's where we're breaking away from. So the Stingy Man, in many ways, is a response to the fact that the games that we used to play, the approaches that we used to take, are being taken against us. And we are still trying to navigate through that relationship. So before I get too far in this, because there's two key areas to touch on when you're talking about the Stingy Man movement. You're talking about value and you're talking about creation. I mean, not creation, but communication, the translation of that value. But again, let me address something very, very, very important. I think that too often women sometimes lack understanding of the male psyche. So let me give a little bit of insight into so many things that we call patriarchy and different things like that. First of all, let me just jump in there this way. Men are jealous of women in certain cases. I do find a certain jealousy that exists within myself because there's a pronounced matriarchy. We say patriarchy, but there's an actual matriarchy that exists that in many ways it seems like women are oblivious to. I think you have to understand that for men, the major push for power is to get the baddest woman possible and to secure our legacy. Within that dynamic, our entire purpose leads to the foot of a woman. So in many ways, that's where I start kind of questioning and saying like, okay, I get it. There are some terrible men among us that are taking advantage of situations and doing some really cruddy things. Like, I mean, terrible people aside, creeps, rapists, child molesters, like that particular subset of people aside, you're still left with men that we don't necessarily align or connect with when I speak from the position of what I know from Black women. So let me break this down. When I say our entire purpose leads to the foot of a woman, the major push, the major dynamic, it just needs to be broken down. So I went to school to get better educated so I could get a better job, so I can get better pay, so I can get better car, so I can get a better house, so I can get a better woman. As men progress in life, we understand something very simple and very true. And I believe that Chris Rock really eloquently pointed this out. And one of the things he pointed out is that men can't go backwards in life sexually. Women can't go backwards in lifestyle. Meaning that if you want a woman of high quality, men, this is for you. If you want a woman of high quality, you have to understand that she's been approached by men of all different types because she is a woman of quality. And when you mix that with the fact that she can't go backwards in life, you end up with a woman that you have to put up or shut up. You gonna take her out? You gonna buy her what she needs to have? If she needs a ride, she ain't walking nowhere. None of that's happening. If she come into your house and chilling, like she ain't I mean, this is Nigerian. I mean, we got our American brothers and sisters all over the world and whatnot. But yeah, you can't come here and then have this wonderful, amazing, beautiful, talented, smart, ambitious woman in your house with no AC and no lights on. She will, if you exhibit some type of progress, or if there's an existing relationship, even a friendship and different things like that, then you start to see a little bit more patience. But initially, to walk into a situation that's below what they are used to, not gonna happen. So again, that's why I point out, like, our entire purpose leads to your feet, because we have to be able to address you. We have to be able to attract you. We have to learn the words that get your attention. We have to know what to say. We have to know when to give you attention, when not to give you attention. All of these different things, where basically you need a MBA on women's studies, communication, understanding, psychology, all these different things to have a fruitful understanding of what's going on. So again, this is not to address, or I'm not speaking up or protecting men who abuse their power. I just need you to understand when it is abuse and when it is, this is what I've prepared my whole life to do to be able to make these decisions. So patriarchy exists, but not in the context that you think it does, ladies. Women participate in devaluing their position by looking negatively upon your strategic advantages. Let me highlight part of the reason why patriarchy hits different for women, and for why you sometimes go through certain things. It's primarily rooted in two major things. We are visual creatures, and I want to say we are very tempted by the sex that these visual temptations speak to. We want sex all the time. Let me give you a bit of background. So if you as a man wanted to test whether or not your man junk was working up to the acceptable rate, let's say, in this world, if you got the money, there would be a sleep study. And once you go to sleep, they would measure how many times you get an erection in your sleep. To move past the state of you're impotent or something like that, the test is you must get 6 erections in your sleep. 6 erections in your sleep. That's how deep it is for us women. I think you need to understand that. I think that at some point we have to get past the part of I keep coming with this word, criminalizing our desires, but there's a negative context around what men want. And at the end of the day, since men are hunting women, fortunate or unfortunate, then again, it just speaks to a dynamic of you don't like what we want, but you are heavily impacted and influenced by what we want. And no matter what women do to provide a negative context around what we find sexy and attractive, it's not going to work. Because at the end of the day, I still find what I find sexy and attractive. I still want what I want. You can say as bad as it is. Only thing I'm going to do is try to hide it and find that person that's okay with it, if that makes sense. So again, let me break down patriarchy in a way that makes sense. The relationship between men is very transactional. If I've been to several events, so like, I do okay for myself, I do all right. But I've been in houses where this man had a marble floor with gold in between the creases in the marble. Rolls Royces out front and different things like that. So do I have a Rolls Royce? Not at this moment. My Rolls Royce is loading. It's buffering. It's on the way. Amen. Amen. So again, when you walk into these rooms with powerful men, for me, if I am not already a part of the in crowd, if I'm not already recognized or I don't provide some inherent value, there's not really going to be a lot of conversation with me. I've been in situations where I've seen how the shoe fits on the other side, where I'm an incredibly busy person. I have my major company. I'm the co-founder of Aggressive for Good, where we're trying to do amazing things. We're trying to impact 1 million lives over the next 5 years. And it's a daunting task. But on top of that, I also have my private operations company where I have multiple clients that I have to take care of. I have 2 separate teams that I have to take care of. I'm looking out for my, I'm trying to start a family empire. So people within my family, I'm trying to support them to help their businesses grow and succeed. I have friends that are looking for the same things. So now when I'm doing all these things, basically I'm focused on the task at hand. I really don't have time to make new friends. I really don't have time to take on what your problems may be. I can't save everybody. I can't save your life. I'm too busy trying to save myself. And if you see rich people or wealthy people at whatever level you see them at, everybody has a cause. Everybody has an issue. Everybody has something that takes precedent in their life that they are working on. So in those situations, when I can't just walk up to these men. I can't. But you know who can? Some of y'all pretty fine young women. Black, beautiful, chocolatey, caramel, whatever spectrum you fall on. Your beautiful, wonderful selves can just walk up to these people and say hello. How are you? And they will turn around and they will quickly assess the situation like, hello. That is where we start getting jealous. You have men who have worked their entire lives. And the difference between them being successful in some capacity or launching their career to the next level or starting this next new company or business or whatever just takes the support or the interest or the direction of resources that some of these wealthy men may have access to. And guess what? It's difficult to get that conversation. Even a lot of times, especially like for me, like I've dealt with extremely wealthy men. And until they understand what my value is, I'm gonna layer this one. Until they understand what my value is, they can sometimes speak with a spirit of annoyance. Why are you here? What are you doing here? What do you want? That's the type of responses that you can sometimes get. And then to kind of take this back a step, my best friends are women. I love women. My best business partners are women. I love women. And I'm not talking about from a sexual or anything, like strategically. When you have a very strategic minded woman on your team, on your side, there's really no door that can be opened. So there's been situations that based on the relationships of my business partners and friends and different things like that I find myself at the table with extremely wealthy individuals. And at that point, either A, I need to be able to identify very quickly what type of value do I provide that is interesting to that person, or I need to fade into the background. I need to be a wallflower and don't mess nothing up. Because you never know when the next time you can meet that person. But what you do know is that sometimes it's better to have no effect than have a negative effect. Because they will remember that negative effect. If they don't remember you at all, you have another chance to make a first impression because you never made one in the first place. So that's the dynamic, right? So that's with rich and wealthy men. And I'm saying that from the stingy man perspective, meaning that So a lot of these men who are saying like I'm cutting I'm closing the wallet, like ain't no more dollars coming up out this thing. A lot of these are the rich and wealthy men. But let's take it back a step. Let's take it down a step. Relationships between men as friends on whatever street level start off as transactional. Even when you are in a shared common space, when you're in a shared environment. It's still like I don't feel like I have to talk to you. Like I can be cordial, I can wave, but to actually go so far as to start a relationship, to start a conversation where I'm actually listening to you, I have to see some type of value. You have to have something I want, something I don't have. We have to agree on some type of point that is very important to us. There has to be some type of alignment or connection for men to have friendship. And traditionally, that is based on what value you create. I have a friend, a very, very close friend to me right now. Now, the relationship grew and I better understood him, and we found that we aligned on values and different things like that. We were moving forward on a similar path in life. But in the very beginning, we were college students on campus. He had a car. I didn't have a car. We're friends. You're my best friend. You see what I'm saying? So I'm putting that out. So what I'm trying, before I get into this stingy man thing, what I'm trying to identify is just that sometimes women find themselves in situations with men where they're trying to have conversations, or just, kind of be around, be cordial, just do different things like that. And that's not really what we about. We just really not about that. So like when you're trying to have a gist session or a conversation, or let's see if something, whatever it is, I don't know sometimes what's going on, but it's just like, all right, are we talking about getting money? Or are we talking about, getting it in? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what's happening? Because outside of that, I really don't have time. I really don't have the capacity to start putting my money, time, energy, and effort into something that does not support my legacy. And just being honest, women, these are the type of men I would say, okay, let me not speak to all of you like I know what you want. I would say these are the type of men that I would tell my sister to date. I would tell my daughter to date. Not that I would say don't to date a man that does not give you anything, that does not take care of you, but a stingy man from the point of view of that my purpose, my goals, and my drive is more important than making you feel good or making you feel special, or trying to get your attention by spraying money on you, or setting the trap with money. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. I think y'all getting me here. So I took a few notes here. But yes, I find too often that women are able to get into doors where value is expected. And a lot of times they are leveraging their looks or their bodies to start the conversation, to get the foot in the door. And that's a very delicate dance, because when I've talked to women, I mentor young women in my community, and I give it to them straight, raw, uncut. I'm not telling you what is right in this world, what is right in society. I'm telling you how to win, period, point blank. So when you get into a door where there's value expected and you don't necessarily have anything that's inherently valuable but your body, just understand that no matter what conversation you're having with that man is trying to attain value that you have. Right? So he could be talking about the weather. He could be talking about his family, his wife and his kids, whatever the case it may be. There's a large chance that if you're talking to somebody where there's no pre-existing relationship and there's no understanding and no context, that he's trying to understand what value you create and how he gives that value. So again, if the only thing that you have walking in there is that you look hot, and when the conversation shifts or when the conversation starts and there's not really a lot of context there, and there's still a conversation going on and you have not given him any anything of what I can do for you, or this is, or interesting. You're not talking about something that you both find interesting or that you assume he would find interesting. Just understand that you in the game. You in the game. He is actively trying to wash you. You need to understand that. Again, you may be thinking you're talking. This is sometimes how women are like, I don't know what happened. I thought we were cool. I thought everything was good. We had a great conversation. One thing led to another and he ghosted me. He got what he wanted because you didn't have nothing else to offer. Or maybe you did have something else to offer it and you just didn't offer it. You're thinking that if you're having this if you see what type of person this guy is, you see what type of vibe they put off, and then, you're having a conversation about Real Housewives of Atlanta, and he don't look like he's listening to Real Housewives of Atlanta, but like y'all having a full drawn out conversation. He's trying to connect. He's trying to build some type of camaraderie between you two so he can go in for the kill and he don't look like a creep for doing it. So sometimes men assume, and men, listen to this one. Sometimes you assume that woman is there understanding exactly what you want, what you're saying, what you're trying to allude to. And sometimes they don't see you that way, bro. They don't see you that way. And you're thinking that you're having a conversation because women are looking for value as well. Women are transactional as well. And while you're over there having that conversation thinking that, oh, we do like to talk about football. We both like these different things. And this woman ain't never played a sport. She ain't, whatever the case may be. Now, football in Africa is different. But if you're watching, there are just certain things that are just not commonly watched. So again, I don't want to come across as sexist, but there's been times where there's American football that I'm talking about in particular, where I'm having a conversation with a woman, and I invite her like, hey, what you doing this weekend? I'm going to watch the game over here. You should come, chill, nice, whatever environment. I get to show off a hot girl to my friends at the game. Like we walk in there, I'm like, right? So we're having those conversations. And then once we start getting into the game and watching the game, and she's like, oh my God, like the guy scores a touchdown. She's like, oh my God, does he get a free throw now? And it's like, free throw? What? I thought you liked football. I thought you liked this. I thought this is, you understand what I'm saying? Like there's a game that we are all playing. And if we're not aware of what our strengths are, and what the actual value is that we possess and how to communicate that value, we're going to run into some issues. There's going to be some misalignments, and there's going to be some people that get their feelings hurt because they're having a conversation, but they don't understand the words that are coming out of their own mouths. Let's just be real. So let's jump into this stingy man thing. All jokes aside, I think that the entire stingy man movement is based on same things I've been talking about. Value. What value do you create? What value do you bring to my life? I've been spending money, sending transport, buying data, paying for your mama's surgery, all these different things. And the only thing that I get in return is I get to play the game of, am I going to get some or not? Which, I'm not going to lie. Women, it's a fun game. But what typically happens is once you have a game, once you beat the game, like if it's a console game, once I beat the game, this is why multiplayer modes and free-for-all battles and different things became very, very popular. It extended the life of games. Because once you beat the game, I'm done with the game, I go buy another game. That's how we are. So now, women, beating the game, when you're talking about a woman who doesn't necessarily have any other value, is getting some. For women, men, pay attention. If you don't have anything to talk about, you dense, you're egotistical, narcissistic. ignorant to the needs of this woman. You don't spend your time trying to understand what makes her tick, what brings her happiness, what brings her joy, what are her goals, dreams, different things like that. If you're not in that space having those conversations, and then you decide to immediately fast forward to, yo, how do I get in them draws? Let me see what it do. All those different type of things. And then in that process, you give her money and she decides to not show up. Bruh, you ain't had no value. You didn't give her nothing but words and money. And you can keep the words. I'll take the money. I know that's how they roll because I've heard them talking about it. I've helped them spend the money. So with that being said, the Stingy Man Association is a response to several things that are going on. It is a response to the fact that the stock value of penis, the D, is at an all-time low. It's almost like consensual sex is a subscription service. I tell men that this is going to sound weird. Men who have multiple relationships, I tell them they should be careful and focus on those relationships that are actually important and beneficial to them, because some of these relationships you'll find yourself in will collapse the other ones. Meaning that I have to be very, very careful with how I say this, so I'm just going to say it straight up. You should understand that women think that their lady parts are very, very valuable, and you do not just get the opportunity to access it free and anyhow. So you should understand that when you are up there jumping up and down on top of this woman, doing whatever it is that you're doing, there's a tab. There's a charge that is ringing up. And it is saying that she is giving you something that is very, very valuable. And once she's giving you something that is this valuable, what is she getting in return? Because especially in certain spaces where men are not focused on being their sexual prowess, they're not focused on pleasing the woman. Basically, you have a situation where a man wants to give you a bunch of words, run up in your house, jump up and down on you and bounce, and maybe call you again and maybe not. It's not an attractive offer. So I get that. That's why I'm trying to give both sides, because again, it's not like I'm just coming down on women trying to come here and collect your bone straits. There's got to be some accountability on both sides, right? So, but again, I'm just telling you what our response is to. So I'm not talking about the other side so much right now, just giving the response. So sometimes women treat consensual sex as a subscription service, meaning I owe you every time. Fine. There are women that you just meet, like from the onset, that want to be treated like a wife and paid like a shower, which is, for y'all who don't know, that's prostitutes. They treat them with love, respect, put them in the house, do all these different things. But also, they need that money. The money needs to come in. That's something that we're responding to. It just doesn't feel fair. We're responding to women who want to be treated at the premium level, having premium expectations, but not exhibiting premium qualities. That one touches back into what this Kevin Samuels conversation started. If y'all don't know who Kevin Samuels is, brilliant brother. I don't necessarily care for his delivery, but I know that he's operating in a different space, and he's saying what he's saying the way he's saying it for a reason, because them views is going up. You know, sometimes people like to watch another person get destroyed. And I'll be honest, sometimes people need to be destroyed. If you've ever joined a fraternity or a sorority, there's a process of crossing the burning sands and whatnot, but it's initially build and destroy, or destroy and rebuild. So they break down who you were and rebuild you into a better version of yourself. That's what they say. So again, you have situations where there are certain expectations and certain qualities that are not delivered, but there's an expectation and we get tired. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Again, just going back to the Kevin Samuels thing, he said that this woman was average at best. And what he said was that if you're dealing with the top 1% of men, and this is the issue, you have some people who are maybe top 50%, and they feel like they deserve the top 1%. And then when somebody who is within their 50% range comes around, they look down upon them because they have higher aspirations that do not include the reality of their life. Again, this man got real spicy. He got real spicy with some of these ladies. And it's hurtful and it's painful. But it speaks to a reimagining of success, a reimagining of what the important values that we need to have are. That's what that thing highlights. So basically what he did was he said this woman is a 6 at best, saying that men who are in the top 1%, they want a woman that's 25, 26 max, no kids. They don't want drama. They want submissiveness, all these different things. They want to control the situation. And based on the fact that they are the most desirable men in their environment, they can make these requests and they can find somebody who can do it. So that's fine. If somebody's willing to say, yes, one person's trash, another person's treasure, was heavy on you, is light for somebody else, all those different things. But sometimes you get to that face-to-face value where, especially if you were looking at what was going on with the Birkin bags, and some of y'all talking about a 500. Why is you talking about Birkin bag? Why? You should be talking about 9 West at best. And that's where he kind of jumped into. And that ruffled a lot of people's feathers. But again, you have to understand where you are and what you could get on the market. And what that is saying is basically you have to understand what is desirable amongst men, or you're going to be converting men into stingy men, or you're just going to be bumping into the worst type of men. Because again, there's a specific expectation for when you're requesting the best, or something that is far outside of what in your heart of hearts you should be able to attain. I'm not talking about that, black girl magic. Like, black girls are magic. Black women are beautiful, amazing. Like, I will fail with a black woman before I'm successful with anyone else. I'm dedicated to that. But again, we just have to drop in. We have to salt bay a little truth in there. There was a time when your man could be a janitor, cleaning up toilets and different stuff. But if that man came home every day, put food on the table, kept the lights on, loved his family and different things like that, that man was respected in his house. It's not like that no more, fam. It's not like that. Whether it be the social media or whatever the case may be, we spend a large portion of our lives chasing after what women want. And this stingy man association thing is just like, nah, fam. We not chasing this junk no more. Another issue that the stingy men are responding to, which is there are women who believe that because I have money, I should give you money. They will literally treat you like, oh, you should just pay for this, or oh, you should just do this. Why are you being so cheap? Why you da-da-da-da-da-da? Because I'm trying to take over the world. Because I'm trying to build a legacy. Because I'm trying to do dope, amazing things and take care of the people who love me, not the people who love the lifestyle I can provide them. I'm just going to leave that one there. There are people who believe that the act of existing, this is touching on the other one too. Just because I have money, and just because you are a woman, just because I looked at you and made eye contact and had the unmitigated gall to want to have a conversation, I owe you. I remember just going in the club back in the day when we were going to the clubs. We had this thing we called trick money. Like, you know, when you go into the clubs, like you walk up to the girl like, hey, she looking bad. Let me walk over there and talk to her. And you're like, hello, how you doing? And she's like, I can't. Like, and that's like code for, if you want to talk to me, buy me a drink. You got to lubricate my vocal cords for me to have a conversation with you with some type of tasty cocktail. You see what I'm saying? There's no equality. So there's a situation where this is tough. There's a situation where, again, I just want to touch into why there's this back and forth and why there's this general issue where it's just like women feel like you are inherently valuable, and men walking into a situation do not necessarily have value unless they give you something. So now, women, if you're walking around feeling like you are inherently valuable, you are. Now, in the grand scheme of things, from society, from humanity, from the survival of our species, and from like, I just love my black people, like, you are valuable. But on the individual level, it's subjective. Some of you all exhibit value. Some of you all do not. So then when you have those who do not exhibit value, like outside of your body, when you are being held in like as a valuable thing, just understand what the source of that value is. Now, it is up to you to either A, add some type of layer on top of that inherent value. Meaning, like, we see you, we see something we like, ooh, and then, you know, once you get the then you can, you know, once you have the attention, then you be like, hey, look, I'm more than just, you know, all of this. There's more to me. There's something going on here. I have dreams. I have goals. I have aspirations. This is what I'm trying to do, whatever. And in those situations, sometimes you'll recognize that that man is trash. He cannot match you in that conversation, and you move on. But sometimes there's just people seeking the bag, and they will know that you're a trash man. They'll know that you have no good intentions and you just want to do something for the night. And then in that case, you want to collect money. And men, we know that we may be trash sometimes. Some of us know we're trash. Like, just being real. Some of us, we know wholeheartedly we're trash. And we leverage that trashness. We blind you from that trashness by throwing money at you. And then when you accept that money and you find out who we really are, we leave. The vice versa also holds true. We're looking at you, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. And we want something from you, but we also want more. But like, we're attracted by the first thing, your physical appearance. And then we hope there's more to it. And then sometimes in our hope, and while we're discovering what else is there behind what you visually present, we find that, you know, sometimes in between that, there's some physical interactions. You know what I mean? There's some in and out going on. And then we find out, like, oh, because we were so preoccupied with trying to, you know, do something, that once that thing is rubbed away from our eyes, we're like, all right, cool, that's out the way. Now, what else you got? And it's just like, oh, well, that's what I got, and you should continue paying for it. And it's like, I don't buy old things. I buy new stuff. I want something with the tags on it. Just being real. Y'all have to understand that. So let me just break this down. Sex for a man is the bait. It's not the entire trap. It's the bait. So I currently enjoy the trap I am in because I find value here. It's nice in here. Shout out, babe. But just understand that men will entertain a woman for sex because that gets our interest. But that's not value. To understand value, you have to understand the male psyche, right? So initially, men don't pay for sex. We pay for convenience. That's how the Ashawo business works, right? And I know a lot of y'all women don't want to be runs girls. You don't want to be Ashawo. You want a good man to take care of you. but you sometimes accidentally put yourself in a shallow positions. Again, because you don't necessarily understand what's valuable to that man once he gets sex. He will pay you because he's interested. He will give you money because he wants something. Once he gets what he wants, transaction is finished, unless there's something else. So again, the astrology business works because if it was me, like, I don't necessarily partake, but I don't judge nobody who does what they need to do. We don't have to talk plenty. I don't have to convince you of anything. We have sex or do whatever, and then I don't have to worry about you calling me at 1 a.m. when I'm chilling with my wife or my girlfriend or somebody else. I don't have to worry about these things. Rats don't chase cheese for the love of cheese. These rats have an instinctual need to survive and procreate. And if you walk into a certain place where you're like, there's a piece of cheese, huge hunk of cheese just out in the open, just laying there chilling, I'm like, man, these people is rich. There must be food all over the place. Look at this whole buffet right here, just laying on the floor. There must be more here. There must be a lot of stuff here. I'm gonna go ahead and get a little piece of this and look around and see what else is there. But they never get a chance to look and see what else is there because they get killed by the trap. But in life, we're not rats, so we don't necessarily get killed by the trap. But what ends up happening is we take the bait and we're in the social trap, so to speak, and we're looking around like, wait a minute, man, where's the rest of this cheese? I thought it was going down out here. I thought we was in the land of milk and honey. I thought manna was just dropping down like dew on the leaves. It ain't that way. And that's where we're like, oh, okay, well, it was just that little piece of cheese, so I took it, so I'm about to go. That's what happens. And again, when you get a man with the bait and you don't actually have a trap, that's where you get left. You only have bait. So let me just be real. So there are some core needs that are negative, but these are things that men find valuable. So let me drop this off for you ladies. And I encourage any woman to respond, to give me some feedback and actually have a conversation. I'm learned, and I'm also willing to learn, willing to be educated. So men want appearances and shapes that speak to procreation. We're not looking at your big lips and wide hips and ample chestal ornaments just for the sake of looking at these things. These all speak to specific biological indicators that show you that your DNA, your gene pool, your whatever is desirable. So when we see big breast, it speaks to the capacity to feed my children in a way that they will be healthy and survive. When we see wide hips, that speaks to the ability to be successful in childbirth without killing the child or yourself. Again, when we see just a certain amount of weight, it speaks to the fact that you are healthy, you are eating well, you're not diseased and sickly. So there are all these different things that, for men who don't know themselves, we just look at this thing like, man, I don't know what it is, but I want it. And I want it all the time. This is why, man. That's why. There's some instinctual things inside you that those body shapes speak to. And another thing is just like from the way that DNA works, for the way that survival, procreation works, men and women have two extreme different purposes in the forwarding of the human species, right? So a male, I know this sounds weird and sexist, right? But for the best survival of my DNA to go forth into this world, biologically, I am driven to want to put my seed in as many places as possible. From the woman's perspective, for the best chance to have her DNA go forward and, have her contribution to this human species live on forever, you have a situation where she needs to pick the male that has that exhibits the DNA qualities. That's where you start looking at height. That's when you start looking at the ability to provide and protect, those different things. So these are the things that they are looking for from a genetic standpoint, because when a woman becomes pregnant, there comes certain points where she can't provide for herself. She needs that man that's going to be able to bring that food home and make sure nobody's coming and messing with her. And when she's in that point that she can't protect and provide for herself. So again, just dropping that in there, we are coming and approaching relationships from a completely different biological perspective. So again, to go back to this, appearances and shapes that speak to procreation, we want a woman that helps increase our social standing as a representative and extension of our influence, power, and good decision making. We want you to be a representative of our standing, our power, and our good decision making. This is why when you have women that anybody can get, it does not increase your social standing. And if it doesn't help you, it's just hurting you. That's just our mindset. I'm just giving you a peek into the mindset. We want, just being real, we want to be able to say, this is what I'm capable of doing. With whatever you have, look what I go home to. Wham, I win, right? We want that. We want that. We also want to be desired sexually. We want to be desired sexually and feel free to express our kinks. Men have been poisoned by porn mentally. There's some things that we have seen on that screen that we want to see in real life. Some of us were just born somehow. We didn't need porn. People just like funny stuff. But again, we want to be desired, and that is a tricky path for women. For one, we want that virgin-esque, that pure undriven snow type of woman in the beginning. But after a while, we want the freak show. We want a lady in the streets and a freak in the bed. We want that. And again, it's not for us to have to come and beg for it. You understand what I'm saying? That's when I say the desire part is important. We don't want to beg. We don't want to feel like we're getting this thing off of pity. You understand what I'm saying? Like, nah, I want you there. That's that feeling that we want. That's a joyous occasion. We also want the security of knowing that we can trust our most trusted possessions, secrets, needs, all of those things. We can trust them with you, not only to not be shared with anybody else, but for you to be able to add your certain je ne sais quoi on top and help it grow. Those are the things that we are looking for initially. Now, there are other things men are looking for, but what I'm saying, like when we're first looking at you, when you're looking at eyesight, it's like, oh, we met eyes. Like, that's what we're thinking. That's what we want from the onset. And then everything else grows from the following conversation. Another thing is that women are active criticizing what we value in women. And they do that thinking that it's a path to equality. And they're forgetting the fact that there's like a role reversal. Women, there is a role reversal. So once we chase you, and once you've agreed, like, hey, you're my guy, you're my girl, we're together, that's where the role reversal comes in at. Because we spent a lot of time chasing you. Now that we have you, now you, in many ways, have to chase us a bit. Not chase. But now we had to make sure we didn't say the wrong things. We had to make sure we got you what you wanted. We had to make sure that there was a smile on your face whenever we could put one there. We just had to make sure that, in general, the experience you had when we are around is an enjoyable one. And once we enter into that, we're in a relationship, or we're having physical relations, or a situationship, entanglement, whatever the case may be, once we get past that moment or find ourselves in that situation, then now we have an expectation. It's not the same game anymore. It's not the same thing where we're going to be chasing you to no end. Now we expect you to start doing things for us. I have convinced you that I am a suitable male for you to create and build a life with. Now I need you to take care of me. That's why I chased you. That's what I was looking for when I was chasing after you. Not to chase you, to keep chasing you, to keep chasing you. There's a role reversal. And I think sometimes women are not aware of this thing, and they keep treating the relationship like it's the courtship. The relationship is the part where we have agreed. The courtship is the part where I'm convincing you. So we get into a relationship and you want to treat it like I'm still convincing you, when mentally we have moved on from convincing you. We've moved on to like, now I need to provide and protect. You see what I'm saying? And now you need to start taking care of me. I'm being very, very serious with that one. So again, I know I'm oversimplifying things. And again, I welcome comments and suggestions and different things so we can have like a real conversation about this. But what I want to say is that after we have partaken in the initial curiosity and the desire to have physical relations, so to speak, you got to ask yourself a few questions, right? For me, why would I, as a man, want to do it again? What was done? What happened? What is better here than what I've experienced elsewhere? Why should I cut off all of my other avenues to happiness to maintain this one? And then, is what I'm getting worth what it takes to keep it? These are questions that you want to have answered in a positive way when it regards you. And when you're in a relationship, those are some of the questions that you want to address. So these questions are often irrelevant for men who don't have options. But when you want men that are at the highest level, these questions hold weight. I mean, and I know a lot of these things and some of the stuff that I'm saying, it seemingly objectifies women. And that term objectifying, for us, we're seeking what we find visually appealing. So like, again, it's putting a negative context on what is a daily practice or what is a normal practice for us, to the point where we kind of get pushed into a hole. And again, the pushback and the response that we're having in some of these situations where, okay, if all you wanted was the money and that's all you were coming to me to get, then I'm cutting off the money. Let's see if you come to me for something else. And I think that there's just this situation where women make the mistake of assuming that what they find valuable in themselves is valuable to men. So you start talking about things like careers, your income, your ambition, different things like that. But that top 1% that a lot of women kind of dream and fantasize about, these men make enough money where you don't have to work. So what do I care what you're doing with your job? Like, I don't care. Like, I want you to take care of me. Like, there are certain things I wanted. That's why I chased you. And I think it is selfish. It's selfish on both sides. And there's concessions that need to be made. But I think you can't start making these concessions and start having these conversations until you start having it from a place of value. Again, if you want to know where that value lies, I remember where there were memes going around where the stingy men said, we're not giving money out. And the immediate response to women is, well, we gonna cross our legs. And it was just like, is that the value? Is that the response? Because the thing is, if you take money off the table and then you take sex off the table, men will still win because we've chased you our entire lives. We know how to speak your language. We know what you want. We know what things spark your eyebrows, like when you're like, oh, say what? We know those things. We have to know those things, or we're going to be, doomed to concrete socks for the rest of our life. Anybody knows what that means? Sorry if I offended you. But that's what it is. And again, this stingy man is a response to that. And the fact that, again, if you take money and if we take money and you take sex, then you have to really look at it like, what else are you going to be able to offer that man? I'm not saying you don't have anything else. What I'm saying is that men were forced to develop those skill sets, especially men who were not wealthy and affluent. We had to learn game. We had to talk that noise to get your attention and to get you down. So you need to start working on those skills if you want to take yourselves from being objectified, if you want to take yourselves outside of that patriarchy, if you want to take yourselves into so many of these other different places. You have to understand that value. And for men who want to be stingy men, you're going to be alone. Don't be running around here talking about, I'm a stingy man and you ain't got nothing else to offer. You ain't got no conversation. You don't have no compassion. You don't have no understanding. You don't have no drive and ambition. You don't have no progress in your life. You're going to be a lonely man. So I'll leave it there. Again, check us out. Leave comments, come back, check out some of our previous videos. The last series of interviews were amazing. We interviewed the Kings of LA. These guys are doing some amazing things there. We interviewed my good friend Mayode, who came, man, this guy came from, the struggle was real. And now he's working for one of the big four in Nigeria. And he walked us through that process of how does he go from working whatever jobs he can get his hands on to actually successfully working for one of the biggest companies in the world. It's a powerful interview, a powerful story. So look for more content like that as I keep giving you perspectives from the entire Black diaspora, whether it be me feeding you responses and contents from things that I'm seeing in this world, and also for me bringing in some very interesting personalities to give other perspectives. So again, AWB Mob, AWB fam, I'll see you soon. Look forward to next week.